I have crazy cats, everybody. It is what it is. Pippin. Got Mary and Pippin both in here. They're being naughty, but we gotta keep them inside. What's up, everybody? Tim Anderson here, aka Renfail. I've got Mary and Pippin in here, and they are being monsters right now. They want to go outside, but we've got rain, and they haven't been spayed yet, so we're trying to keep them inside and contained, and it's crazy. And I want to talk a little bit today about containment and the difference between outside and inside. And I swear it's all going to make sense at some point because there's this thing that's been driving me nuts in the Rings of Power regarding the Mithril storyline, the Mithril retcon, right? If you remember my previous episode I did on the Mithril retcon and the ridiculousness of that, there's more stuff that has come to my mind and I've been talking about and going crazy over, such as the fact that why would the elves, what's up, Luke? Why would the elves need that light to live on, as Gilgalad suggests? Why do they need the light of the Silmaril, the light of the Trees of Valinor, when elves originally were born in starlight and thus didn't care about the light of the sun and the moon or the light of the trees? Food for thought. We're going to be diving into that today. I'm Tim Anderson, aka Renfail, sometimes known as the Bearded Dwarven Princess to many of you here in the Rings of Power space. My chairs and beds have all been taken over by cats, as you know, those of you who've been around for a while. If you're new here, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icons to get more of me and the cats. Support like all of these amazing people. It's super simple on a premiere like this. Do a sticker or a super chat, and on the upload after the fact, you can do a super thanks. Plug in whatever amount you want. There's some pre-programmed amounts, but you can also plug in your own. Let's dive into this. So, the elves, the Quindi, were the first of the races of the children of Iluvatar, known as the Firstborn. It says, around the time that Varda, queen of the Valir, ended her labors in creating the stars, the elves awoke beside the lake Cuiviénen. I can't pronounce this stuff for the life of me. The first thing they saw were the stars, and henceforth they adored them. The first sound they heard was the flowing of water, the noise of the splash of water on the stones, and henceforth they loved the water as well. So the first thing they saw was starlight. That's literally the first thing, and they came to adore the stars. Now, in Tolkien's works, in the Lord of the Rings particularly, the elves have a lot of the starlight being referenced in more ways than one. We also have the story of, Arundel, Elrond's father, being a star in the sky with the last remaining Silmaril on his helm or at his head, and governing people, or as he flies around in the night sky. Stars mean a lot to the elves. In fact, stars mean more than anything else. And this is something that I can't claim credit to this. It was in the comments of my Mithril retcon video. This subject came up and I was like, oh my goodness, I need to go look into this more. And that's what inspired me to come out and make this video and dive into this a little bit more. Because again, I'm not intimately familiar with the subject material like a lot of people are. I am what I've considered a casual reader. I love Tolkien. I read it many times growing up, but that was before the internet, and I didn't get into all the extra materials, the history of Middle Earth stuff, and everything else. I just read The Lord of the Rings, and The Hobbit a few times growing up, Silmarillion a couple of times, and here I am, 42 years old now, doing my reread with the histories, doing the Mondays in Middle Earth show. P.S. Every Monday at 11 a.m. That's what you need to tune into so that you don't miss an update of that. I'm finishing up Two Towers next week. But I do remember, the starlight being the principal thing here. And as I've gotten to diving into this, the elves lived a long time, as I understand things, before they even saw the light of the two trees. Now, I'm not gonna dive into the exact timelines. People can get into that if they want to. It says something here called the Sundering of the Elves. I wonder if there's a timeline referenced here, but this is when, according to this, the Sundering of the Elves is when Orome wanted to bring the elves to Valinor, or the whole Valar in their entirety wanted to bring them in, seeking fellowship with them because they were captive to be the elves. It says this is when the Sundering happened because some of them said they preferred starlight and the wide spaces of Middle Earth, while others decided to go to Valinor. Very interesting. Two trees, Sundering of the Elves. There is a roughly, there are timelines here, which is the stuff that fascinates me. But the point is, the elves lived quite some time before they actually saw the light of the trees. It says here the first sources of light for all of Arda were two enormous lamps, Iluin, the silver one to the north, and Ormal, the golden one to the south. These were cast down and destroyed by Melkor. Afterwards, the Valar went to Valinor, and Yavanna sang into existence the two trees, silver Telperion and golden Lorelin. Telperion was considered male and Lorelin female. The trees sat on the hill outside the western gates of Valmar. They grew in the presence of all of the Valar, watered by the tears of Nienna. Hang on. The count of time and the year of the trees began with the first light of Telperion. One day lasted 12 hours. Each tree in turn would give off light for 7 hours, waxing to full brightness and then slowly waning again. So that each hour. I mean, it's a very interesting lore behind light and dark, and the two trees, one being sunlight and the other one being a different type of light. And here we have the darkening of Valinor. It says a jealous Melkor. This is when he enlists the help of Ungoliant, who is the ancestress of Shelob, to destroy the two trees. And after this, Yavanna sang, Nienna wept. Yet they eventually succeeded only in reviving Telperion's last flower, which became the moon, and Lorelin's last fruit, which became the sun. These were assigned to lesser spirits, Tilion and Arian, respectively. However, the true light of the trees before their poisoning by Ungoliant was said to now reside only in the Silmarils. It is said that, according to the second prophecy of Mandos after the breaking of the earth, the light of the Silmarils will be used by Yavanna to rekindle the two trees, which will light all of the world. The point I want to get back to is that the elves never actually saw the light of the two trees or the light from whence came the Silmarils until many years had passed. They had grown accustomed to and lived for many years under starlight, and starlight was their principle. That's where their first love came from, starlight and the sound of water and the sea. So this idea that the Mithril retcon gave us, that elves need the light of the Silmarils or they're going to fade away and dwindle into nothingness, as if these somehow the light of the Silmarils is like a battery pack or some sort of energy source. It doesn't fall into established lore, because at no point in time in any of this does it ever say that the elves needed the light of either the stars, the sun, the moon, or the trees themselves to survive. They actually were born under starlight. So the idea that they were somehow, I don't want to say addicted to, the idea that they somehow need the light of the two trees, which was then put into the Silmarils, the idea that they need that to survive, and that's what keeps them alive, and that's what keeps them bright and vibrant and youthful and immortal, it just doesn't match existing lore. So as bad as the Mithril retcon is, simply for, in my mind, tainting the story of the Silmarils and inventing this ridiculous idea that elves need these mithril supplements to survive, is if you dive back into the lore, and thanks, all credit to the people in the comment section of my Mithril retcon video for bringing this to my attention. The elves were born in starlight. They actually weren't born under the trees, and therefore they weren't dependent upon the trees for anything. But even in the sake, let's say for the sake of argument, that in the show lore, that might have been the case, some of these elves had been born in the times before. And so those elves who were born, born on the shores of the sea and had grown up under starlight would have never felt this, addiction to or the necessity to have the light of the two trees upon them, because they were born outside of those realms, and they were brought to Valinor after the fact. I don't know. It's food for thought. It's more stuff like this that's keeping me reading as I'm going through the Mondays in Middle Earth stuff and continuing to have me, think about the ways that Rings of Power really screwed up with the lore and everything else for Season 1. And that's why you're going to continue to see me making videos like this, even though the first season is already wrapped up and done with. We're going to continue to have lots of videos like this. Plus, we're covering season two's production, so hopefully you stick around for all of this and more. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. Now, to support, because I know some of you do, and thank you so much for keeping me full time, like all of these amazing people. Again, on a premiere or a live stream like this, super chats and stickers, you can do super thanks after the fact. Plug in an amount that you're comfortable with. There's some pre-programmed stuff there. You can do $2, $5, $10. It all adds up. Every penny counts. Thank you so much to those of you helping. What's up, Luke? You waking up? Don't forget, you can also join. I've got 3 tiers of memberships here. Down below, we do a lot of private videos. We got some new podcast episodes coming up as we're going to go through. We have a vote going on right now as of this recording, voting on 3 different science fiction shows that we're going to be rewatching one of those, and doing a podcast for members along with some other stuff. We also have the Lotro chicken coop build that I'm working on and other things. So hopefully we'll see you around for the rest of it. Yeah. Until next time, everybody, stay safe, stay happy, happy reading. Don't forget the Patreon page. Love y'all. Until next time.